What's up, people? Uh, oh crap! Hang on. Cheers to dry January and whatnot. uh, well, tonight it's actually a pretty exciting night. We're gonna have FMC Overland on with us, and just real quick, I want to let you know about a couple of things that are going to be coming up. I know tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Sunday, you're gonna be doing a trail cleanup with Black Bear Off Road. You will need to have a land use permit for the wildlife management area that's there. And you can check the Facebook page. It's the Black Bear Trail Team, and do that. And yeah, so that's going on. Not a whole lot going on here. I'm actually sitting in the corner here because I'm right in the middle of revamping my office, which you will see in later YouTube videos and stuff like that. And normally these things are outside by a campfire and all that. You know, it's muggy and gross right now. So here I am. When it comes to trips and things like that coming up, I've got a big list that I want to knock out in 2024. Uh, got a couple of things I got to fix. If you follow my channel, you probably already know that kind of stuff, but I got to work those issues out. I am planning on going to Colorado a little bit later on this year to try the Holy Cross City Trail, which is huge, and then obviously going after a whole bunch of Jeep Badge of Honor trails. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to do that. That would be great. And yeah, without any further ado, I'm gonna just add, hey Travis, I saw you in there. Can you put that back up? That request to join, and then we'll let FMC back in here. Let's see. He's trying. He's just, pressing buttons and stuff. But yeah, we're waiting on those. Hey Scott, welcome in. Hey old man, old truck Phil. I really had a great time with you on your riding out with you the Pinnacle Mountain Road the other day. I didn't go back there since it was snowing and crazy like that. Okay, here's FMC. I'm gonna add them in right now. Boop. There we go. There we
Hey,
go. Hey, it works.
hey, this
Hey,
crazy technology, man.
yeah, it's a little bit nutty. It's not a paper map, if you know what I mean.
I know. Those are
It's not.
easy.
Yeah, yeah. Except for finding where you are on them. Not everybody has military experience. I've got I've got the scouts. How about that? um, but no, man, welcome on. Seriously, I put these live things together so that people can, if they don't already know who you guys are or the guest that I have on here, it gives a little bit more, um, I guess, audience to that. And obviously, you and I are going to resonate on a whole lot of different things. Some other people might resonate with you as well, and that's really cool. One thing I am going to ask you to do is to help me keep an eye on the chat because I am terrible at looking down on that little thing. Um, and these people are here. They're hanging out with us. I see Scott, I see Old Man, and Granite State Exploration came in saying hello. So, hey, guys. And I will do my best to remember. Please help me, Travis. Remember to make some time for kind of a Q&A if anybody has any questions about
Yeah,
that.
man.
So, anyway, welcome, everybody. We've got 7 people in now, so we'll get rolling. And so, Travis, welcome. Introduce yourself. Tell us what's going on.
Thanks, man. If you guys don't know me already, Travis, kind of, I guess you want to say founded FMC Overland. Essentially, again, it was just, I started doing some stuff. Some people wanted to follow along and join in, and we made a community out of it. But overall, what I try to do is I just like sharing stuff because I remember being the guy that didn't know squat, going out to like Uwari the first time and being fully intimidated. So that's what Fully Mission Cable kind of came about was I wanted to share information, and it doesn't matter what rig you drive in, what brand, how big of a lift. It doesn't matter as long as you're capable for the mission that you want to do in your vehicle. That's all that really matters. I mean, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing because they're not paying for it. Unless they're
That's true.
giving you the lift kit and giving you the car, then they don't get a say in it. So, and everybody's tastes are different. Not everybody wants, a big rock crawler. Some people just want something to get them down gravel roads and go camping. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've been through the gamut. I think we've done everything from rock crawling and now into overlanding. Excuse the term. I think you're the same way. That
I'm sure it'll
term,
bring up.
uh,
We'll bring that up for sure, as well as the vehicle thing. Like that. That's true.
this just kills me. But it's just all about sharing information. And like one of the things I make sure I do every single time, even if it's just posting a photo, I love
Mhm.
dropping grid coordinates. Like if you want to go, put those grids into your Gaia, Onyx, whatever you use, and save
Mhm.
it for later and maybe hit the same spot, you know?
Yeah. I mean, to that point, I think it's really it's kind of a double-edged sword there, right? Because overlanding, the term, the modern term for it, or whatever else. I think you've said this before in like either a long format or a short. You know, who really gives a shit? Like it's car camping. It's not. It's whatever. Some people say it's all about the journey because car camping is usually a single destination, and you're not going with a team and planning out and doing all this other kind of stuff. And sometimes you actually are. I know the last time that I had a live, I was kind of dogging on the overlanding thing, just because of the fact that it's so expensive and it like well it's marketed so heavily
Exactly.
now
Yeah.
as being like the premier thing, and then you go to an event and you're like all of these things are like $700 or more, and it attracts certain types of people, the types of people that can afford that, and then it adversely puts a lot of people that shouldn't be spending that kind of money and doing those kind of things into very bad financial situations
Oh,
to
yeah,
think
I
that they
agree.
have to keep up.
Yeah.
um, and then now what's going on with the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and local governments everywhere kind of trying to close access to trails because so many people have gone out onto those Forest Service roads that used to be like, hiking access or just to go out in nature and, fish or whatever else. And people are going out there and they're trashing it. They're not,
Yeah. And that
you're not
that's
doing responsible things.
That's the issue. I mean, you bring up two issues. One is the marketing of the word overland. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't help it. It's a capitalist society. I get it. Um,
Hmm.
but it does suck that just because you put overland at the end of something, you can charge twice as much.
Yeah.
It's good for them. I'm not bashing any company that makes good products that people use, but the price point does get out of control, and it does either intimidate folks getting into it because it makes them shy going, well, I don't have all this expensive gear. I'm not running, I don't know, an LU cab. I only mention that, not dogging them. It's just, I know it's an
Right. Right.
expensive piece of equipment.
Hmm.
They're afraid to go out because all they got is, their car and a tent, and they don't want to
Yeah.
go with that group. So it makes it intimidating for that community, which is unfortunate. But then you also got the guys that have an endless pocketbook,
Yeah.
and sometimes it turns out where they go out and just destroy the environment. Or what I've found in my experience is, traveling out of our own state of North Carolina to see other places,
Hmm.
it's not the travelers that are doing the damage.
No.
It
No.
tends to be the local community that honestly just takes it for granted. I guess that could be off base, and everybody's got an opinion about everything. But that's what
Yeah.
I've
Well, I
seen.
mean,
You know,
well, that's just like your opinion, man. Is really all I want to say. But
I
what?
tend to piss people off too.
No, no, no,
I do
no.
have
I
that
just
habit. You
as
know,
far as that was a movie quote, but I agree with you for the most part in that, and that's why I think it's really important for local groups and organizations, especially the Jeep clubs that
yeah,
have thousands of members, and yet people don't really want to do something unless it's to go get some ice cream. It's like you really need to like put some energy into educating the people that you bring into this group, other than saying what lift kit you need and what headlights you need and
yeah,
what light bar you need. There needs to be, I mean, whatever. I was part of a couple of Jeep clubs, especially one in Orlando, and it was huge. And that, like, we paid dues and had meetings and like all kinds of stuff, and it was like a corporate thing. And I was like,
yeah.
that's not for me. and to boot, I didn't really learn anything
No,
from
no, you, you
that
you end up at the
experience.
Dairy Queen parking lot where everybody's oogling the most expensive thing that they put on their rig, which to
Exactly.
me kind of ruins the whole experience.
Yeah,
Don't get me
and
wrong, I like cool stuff and seeing new cool stuff, but
oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
you
the
know,
shows have a certain element too, and then what they disguise it as is this is a really great deal.
yeah,
Whether that's Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, where you're going to see a ton. It's indoors, it's outdoors. You go to any of the events around. There's WNC Jeep Fest. Um, that they have club participation awards. They have all kinds of other vendors that are in the space, and I think that those things are really great to introduce people into the off-road culture,
yeah,
or just at least other people where you know that there is definitively a common thread. You have an
yeah,
interest in a 4x4 vehicle or going off road and getting outdoors. What I don't like about those scenarios is the a lot of times there's the lack of the education and whatever else. And you take, like, for example, tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tomorrow's Friday, Saturday, there was a planned ride to go do a trail cleanup. And even if, I mean, some people are still going to go on Sunday to go do that, and it's a gravel road. The problem is if you bring like 50 or 60 rigs, even down a gravel road after it's been like pouring down rain for like 10 days,
yeah,
like that's not going to be a great scenario, even though your objective is to get out there and do some good. So I know that Bubba is planning that thing from Black Bear Off Road, and I mentioned that early in this. Um, he specifically said, "This is not gonna be a big group. Like, we are not going to do this. We're gonna go out there and do good. We're not gonna go climbing down the mountains and tear up the trail
yeah.
and do this stuff. We're gonna go out there and clean up." Um, anyway, that's my soapbox. I hate it when people litter on the trail.
It
Uh,
drives me nuts. I'm the same with you on that one. I just don't understand the concept of why is it so hard to take it with you? I don't understand like
yeah.
what is going on in your brain when I mean I upset, I don't know, it's probably like 2 years ago, but I upset a certain Facebook group in North Carolina to the point where it got absolutely ridiculous. All because, well, one, I'm a former jarhead. Profanity comes fluently to me. It's just natural.
It's
And
welcome
if I'm
here.
up, yeah, if I'm upset, it comes out a lot.
Right.
And I was out at Uari, and it was like the third campsite I drove by where it's just trash in the fire pit. And I did
Mhm.
a video where I lost my mind. And when I posted it, the amazing thing was most people missed the whole meaning. Like one guy commented, he's like, "Oh, I counted you said the F word like 73 times or something like that." And I'm like, that's what you're focusing on? There's
Yeah.
giant piles of trash. I don't understand that concept of just leaving stuff behind and then thinking like, oh, everything's all right. And then those same groups and individuals will complain when they close stuff down. And it's like, man,
Yeah,
you get out, look in the mirror.
and that's the point, and that's what's happening right now. And I don't know if you're a car enthusiast or just like off-road and outdoor
Yeah.
kind of stuff, but
Anything
um,
with wheels, man.
this I don't know if you've ever heard of the magazine S3 magazine. One of my buddies happens to run that, and a couple other friends write for it, and they have just put out an article that's really cool, that closure is not management, right? So the Forest Service has said for the longest period of time that they're understaffed, which is true. They're underfunded, which is also true.
Yep.
Um, Having said that, they're also refusing help from local clubs to go out and do things, and then they're making it a little bit more difficult to go out there and access those things and clean them up by requiring uh, permits and things like that, which I have 0 problem with, man. If it meant 20 if I had to pay 20 bucks or something annually to go out and, run Forest Service roads and stuff like that to help support them, then I totally would. Um, but that kind of thing is what sucks. And then you have big corporations or big organizations like, Trout Unlimited and people like that, that are really absolutely saying no off-road stuff at all, and they're kind of lobbying against the off-road enthusiasts in those areas to get them closed down. They have fishing licenses. They want to go out and they want to fish for trout that is released, bred and released, right at the headwaters.
Yeah.
It's a fishery, and they let them go. They know when it's there. They're not in any danger. It's not wild, you know. So anyway, having said all of that, that's a big soapbox that it could be like 3 hours of conversation.
Oh yeah.
uh, but having said all that, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in your world as of late. I
Yeah,
know
a
that
little bit.
last time that I saw you in person was probably Jeep Beach when you were there with Ruck Rack.
Yeah, yeah. That was a while
That
ago.
was forever ago.
Yeah.
So what's been going on since then? Catch us
You
up.
know, I mean, I mean, just like you, this is not our career path. Like we all have our
Yeah.
regular day jobs, so day job takes up a lot of it. Family, kids, that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, the big move was I've been riding Jeeps for 20 years,
Yeah.
and that war with Jeeps and Toyota, and everybody says, oh, the dark side this and the light side or whatever you want to pick. I never really got onto that whole clash of brands thing. I like what I like. And
Yeah.
I went to a forerunner recently. So got rid of the Gladiator a few months ago, which don't get me wrong, absolutely loved it. We had it built exactly how we envisioned it.
Hmm.
Um, we could explore pretty much anywhere we wanted to. I was just having issues with it. I don't
Hmm.
know whether it's lemon issues or whatnot, but I just had electrical issues.
Right.
And so in 2022, I can't. The amount of trips we went on, we were probably doing 2 trips a month. And when I say a trip, that's at least 3 nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're probably doing two a month the whole year, and several 5 and 6 day trips in that Gladiator. Then when I started having electrical issues, 2023, I maybe did 6 trips the whole year.
Oh,
And
yikes.
like if I don't get away from society like at least once a month or twice a month, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like that's
Yeah.
my pressure release valve is
That's
getting
mine
up
too.
there. But so it just kind of came down to the decision of, hey, are we taking this? It was another issue. I had to take it back to Jeep and drop it off. And it's like, all right, we drop this off again and lose it for a month and then necessarily not trust it again because
Yeah.
I like going places where I'm 3 or 4 hours away from a local gas station or an auto zone. So
Hmm.
waking up and something not working is not acceptable. So the wife said, well, what do you want? I said, geez, I don't know. Said that the amount of possibilities are endless. Since I'm not into the rock banging anymore, I've gone more overlanding. I like, plus I'm getting older, my bones hurt, man, from all that jarring around. So
Right. Right.
it's like, man, I need something comfortable. So we had a Grand Cherokee Trailhawk that we bought for my
Hmm.
wife like 3 years ago. So she was like, well, can we do stuff in that? And I said, yeah. I said,
Hmm.
let me dump a few grand in it. And so we put some 33s on it, put
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
heavy duty rock rails, a roof rack, bought a new type of tent, and started playing in that. And the ride is amazing. The vehicle did exactly what I needed to do, but it just wasn't mine. And then the wife
Yeah.
was like, oh, I really like it. And I'm like, of course you like it now. I just put all this stuff into it.
Yeah.
Um, so she told me, hey, buy a 10-year car. And this is going to resonate with some folks. She told me to buy a 10-year car. And what
Hmm.
she meant by that is I have the habit of every 3 years getting a brand new vehicle.
Oh,
Because
right.
what I do is I get it and I build it and then I go, ooh, I see something new and shiny. And then I started that process all over again. So she didn't want me to do that this time. So she was like, I want you to have a 10-year vehicle. And the first thought I said was, well, that's going to be a Forerunner or a Lexus. So
Hmm.
we're looking at a lot of Lexus builds, and I just happened to stumble across this really nice cherry Forerunner, very unmolested. Looked like it was a daily driver parked in the garage, low mileage,
Right.
had all the stuff I wanted on it. So I was like, well, let's grab that up. And I want to say I hate to admit it, but I get what all the Forerunner people are talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really like it. Like, it's, I remember when I got my Gladiator, like, when I first started driving that, I was in absolute love with it. Like, you're a Jeep guy, you get it. You get in that car and you just,
It
it,
makes me feel a way.
yeah,
Yeah. It makes
yeah,
me feel a
it,
certain way. Yeah.
yeah. And that's just the car culture kind of folks that we are.
Hmm.
And it's nice that I feel that way getting in the Forerunner. I was worried that I wasn't going to feel that way. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like, oh, and I'm excited for the possibilities of what we're going to do with it.
Yeah, I
I
mean, we talked about it before. I mean, the aftermarket thing, and I totally, wholeheartedly believe in the aftermarket. I
yeah,
think that they have a very solid place for anybody who's a car enthusiast or anybody who needs to do modifications to their vehicle to go out and do something they enjoy, and they just don't happen to have an engineering degree, right? Or they don't have a mechanic that can recommend a whole lot of stuff for them. So they buy everything out of a Quadratech catalog or whatever else and just try to figure stuff out. But
hey, I remember flipping through that catalog on the toilet, man. Like I get that
y-
once a month and just flip through it and mark pages. You
yeah,
know?
I mean, and I did that initially. My Jeep went through several iterations. First one, uh, the first Jeep that I had, I didn't make any modifications. I kept it for 3 years, but I lived in Florida, so I didn't really have to. There really
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of
What?
wheeling in Central Florida. I can go mud and swampy and sandy, and then maybe just a couple of what I would consider like a rutted out trail at this point for like a 50-yard section. Um, so I didn't really do anything with that. Then when I got my current Jeep, I knew immediately. I was married before and I got divorced, and I had to sell that first Jeep, and I got a Mazda hatchback because I was driving like 30 or 40 miles a day. It was like 10 toll roads in Florida were horrible. So it got like 23, 24 miles per gallon. And I'm like, that's way better than 12. So trying to reclaim my finances and things like that, I got that hatchback. I drove it for a week and then went right back to the dealership. I was like, have you sold my Jeep yet?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we sold it the day that you traded in. And I'm like, I don't think that's legal. But we need to
Yeah.
check on this. So I was stuck and I immediately started saving. And the moment that I got into a Jeep again, I had that feeling that I had been missing for the longest period of time. Yeah, I mean, just bone stock, whatever.
Yeah.
But my newest car, like to me, is it's a 2020 Trail
I know.
Boss, and I feel nothing in that thing. It is simply a grocery getter or something to
Yeah.
go to Lowe's and Home Depot and haul some shit. I like if I hadn't have done that, that would have been great, But uh, my wife had a Dodge Challenger that she absolutely loves or loved. Um, she saw a Subaru commercial and wanted to
I
get
was gonna
a
ask you, man.
Subaru, and that damn thing is fun. Like it's actually fun, and she is in love with it. So I get it, man. I totally understand that, but there's no way in hell I'm ever selling my Jeep. I hope that there is a 10-year vehicle in your future. I hope that the Forerunner is it. That would
I'm
be
hoping too.
phenomenal. Yeah,
I'm
because
hoping
I mean,
too.
because you are going to modify it, you are going to do some of those
Yeah.
things. So, what are the things that you're thinking about immediately?
So immediately, of course, is I got to go roof rack because essentially, I want to get outside and I love camping, and we already have the rooftop tent. We're gonna pull that off the Grand Cherokee and throw it on the Forerunner. Um,
Right.
but like I tell everybody, if you plan on taking your thing off road or your vehicle off
Hmm.
road at all, I think the first thing you got to start saving up for, and I say saving up for because they're expensive, is rock rails, some kind of protection. Because
Oh yeah.
everybody always says, "Oh, I'm not going to take it on a trail that's going to do that." It's like you say that, but then you get to an area and you're like, "Oh, that I want to explore down there." And the next thing you know, you're in a tricky situation and you're going to lose a door. So,
Yeah.
and with these newer vehicles, that's super expensive. I mean, you
Oh
crack
yeah.
a door trim piece and that's a mortgage payment in my book. So I'd rather
Hmm.
spend $1,000 on a good set of rock rails that I know that can support the weight of the vehicle. So that'll be the first like major purchase.
Hmm.
But other than that, we bought this one. It already has like a 2-inch lift on it in 33. So
Yeah.
the agreement kind of was like, hey, that's good for now. Let's I don't want to waste money on tires, so I'm going to run these tires till they're bald, and then when they
Hmm.
do, we'll figure out what we're going to do. I
Yeah.
do have the crazy notion because I loved my Gladiator on 37s. I would love in a year or two squeeze 37s on a Forerunner and be
Have
that
you
guy. Yeah.
You've seen Bud Built's the one that Bud Built did, right?
No,
It's a
no.
big blue I think it's 4Runner. Yeah, they came to Kentucky with us. I'll see if I can find some photos of that thing and send it to you. But they did a whole big
Oh, it's a lot of work.
boatload of stuff
Yep.
to do those things. Obviously, with the IFS and everything else in the front
Yeah.
too. Um, handles completely different on the trail and stuff like that. And to your point, rock rails aren't just protection; they're actually a tool on the trail.
Mhm.
Uh, it'll protect you from hitting a tree, but it can also you go just past your breakover angle and throttle and turn at the same time. You're going to pivot, which
Yep.
really
And
helps.
then
Yeah, if you can't front dig,
I've
if you
I've
can't,
I've used rock rails as a pivot point more than once on a
yeah,
rock. Just like,
and
well, okay.
it's good to have them, and I say that with, with my Jeep, I've still got the stock rails on mine, but my wheels are super far offset, so,
Yep.
unless I hit something right smack in the middle, which I haven't, I hit some ugly ass steel fenders, and that transferred all the energy into my rear quarter panel, so
Quarter
I've had a
barrel.
little ripple dam.
Yeah.
So, although the fenders on my rig right now look all cool, to me anyway, they're plastic and they're like 150 bucks.
Yeah.
Like,
So I went through that too with the JK because we had a JKU for a while. A 2015, which we loved, is one of those
yeah,
I hit like 98,000 miles with it, and then I traded it on the Gladiator. But like I put metal fenders on it, and they were only metal fenders, like real. They were metal cloak metal fenders. So the real,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
wide. They got a rail down it, and they were at the same width of my tire. And I think we were a Winrock with it, and man, I took that fender straight into a tree, and it pushed my whole fender panel in against the
yeah.
hood. And after that, I ditched the steel fenders and went
Hmm.
with plastic because I'd rather have that plastic fender hit and just snap all the plastic pieces off than
Oh yeah,
transfer all the energy into the body of the Jeep. So
yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people think about that sometimes.
I learned that lesson. It was on Trail 26 at Winrock, and one of my buddies. It was the group of guys that I always wheel with a lot. We were going up this trail, and I think it was 26 or whatever, and that was before they moved. There used to be like this really gigantic boulder, and then a side of a another big rock. So you're kind of going through a squeeze, as it were. And my Jeep was just wide enough to fit through, and I don't know, he looked away for a second, wasn't really paying attention, told me to come on, and I went on. Back tire slipped. Right, that fender went right into one of those big rocks, and it just, like, sent this ripple dent that I still haven't even fixed. Like, I still haven't
It's
fixed it.
it's
It's
there
there
as a
as a
reminder,
reminder.
man. That's all it is. That's a
Yeah,
reminder. It's a beauty
yeah,
mark.
it has a little bit of an anti-reflective, character now, but that's cool.
But
But besides that, going into the modifications and what you guys are gonna do with the 4Runner, like, I know you feel a certain
we
way when you get in it, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna keep it simple. Like I said, I mean, we all have our dream list. The 37s is the
yeah,
dream list.
sure.
That's way up here.
Yeah, yeah.
But in all reality, the things we're gonna focus on are the things that I've learned from having the last Jeep.
Mhm,
The last Jeep was the first kind of overland style travel vehicle we made. Um, and we're gonna focus on we changed our mindset. The things that we're gonna focus on is accessibility and
mhm.
storage. So the thing that we found out the hard way is loose gear becomes projectiles very quickly.
Yep, sure
So
does.
um, I want to. I'm also a DIYer. I love doing build outs. So and I'm an AutoCAD guy by day trade. So
Mhm.
I've spent some time in AutoCAD already designing out a full kind of storage platform area in the back that we want to build because like I said, we built up the experience, so we know what we like to carry. We know what we like to have access to quickly. We know what we like to just have stored away, and we can dig for it because we'll have time to get to it.
Right.
So certain things will be immediate access. Of course, first aid and recovery. That's to be said. But then our food mainly, because that's the
Yeah,
biggest thing. We pull up to a place. The first thing I want to do is eat.
yeah.
Um, and the kind of rule that me and my wife have is we've kind of split the duties, which thank God she enjoys doing this stuff with me.
Mhm.
Um, makes it a lot easier to say,
Yeah.
hey, I want to go out for 4 or 5 days, and she wants to come along. But essentially, if we pull up to a stop, what I'm doing is I'm setting up camp. I'm getting the tent ready, the bed ready, the pillows, all that good jazz,
Mhm.
and she's cooking. So
Yeah.
we've had a process where I get the tables out in the black stone and set that up, and then she starts cooking, and I go to get our bed ready.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at for as a main focus on this one is we want to just have everything come straight out of the vehicle, quick and easy that she can do without me having to do, and I can
Sure.
just go straight to nighttime setup.
Yeah.
And it works out well because usually by the time I'm done setting up, she's got food ready because she also has a fantastic pre-planning and pre-packaging thing she does
Mhm.
before we go out on the trip. So that's what we're going to focus on. So it's not going to be there's not going to be a lot of big wows. There's not going to be some big fancy bumpers or Baja lights or anything like that. It's from the outside, you're going to see a rooftop tent and some rock rails. Everything else
Yeah.
is going to be on the inside. We're going to focus on our comms. We're going to focus on the dash setup where she can look at navigation while I can drive because
Right.
she hates me looking at nav while I'm driving
While
like
you're
this.
driving? Yeah.
Yeah, it drives her crazy. And I'm trying to take a photo, like, oh, hold on, we need to get an
Yeah.
Instagram reel while we do this. It's like, so she's
Yeah.
learning the navigation part.
Man, like I think that it's awesome that you're kind of going backwards in a way, right?
Mhm.
And it's not it's well, you're
Yeah,
not going backwards. Let me rephrase. You are going forward for yourselves and realizing that you don't have to have all the fancy shit. You don't have to
yeah,
do all this kind of stuff that all these other people do when they go to shows or they go out to the ice cream shop or wherever else,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
um, and you realizing what's important to you. And that's something that I wish that I had done a very long time ago, which was to keep it stock before. Well, as you learn what you like to do, and also learning the vehicle and what it's
Oh yeah,
capable of doing, because you can go to places and people will tell you locally this trail is super hard. Like you shouldn't go there on a stock rig, and you're like, okay, well, I really want to do this, so that's going to justify me going to 35s and a 3 inch left or whatever. And then you go there and you're like, I didn't need this,
yeah.
you know?
I've told people in the past. I think if you're new to this kind of community, it's your first off road Jeep or Toyota or whatever you're rolling. You shouldn't do any suspension modifications until you trail ridden it a few times. Like
Yeah.
go to the places you plan on going that's locally close.
Hmm.
Do that a few times because one, you're learning the dimensions of that vehicle. You're learning what the stock suspension is capable of. So when you do decide to lift that vehicle up and you see that trail obstacle, you already have a plan and a vision of, hey, I know I can do this because I was on 31s before and I
Yeah.
took this line and I barely made it. Now I'm on 35s with more of a lift. I know I can clear it. So it helps with your self confidence and it makes you a lot better driver. I've seen a lot of people on trails, man, that buy rigs fully jacked up and no idea what they're doing out there.
Yeah,
And
they
it's,
have no idea how to drive them, and that's
yeah,
kind of getting into the accessibility portion of the off-road stuff too, because obviously we had a whole lot. The world shut down, and people went outside as much as they could,
yeah,
and so that gave an already rising opportunity for these aftermarket companies and overland companies to really just explode. Um, they kind of rode that wave, and now we got a whole bunch of people with vehicles that are overbuilt for what they need or just not built to what they need. But that's beside the point. They also have a whole bunch of stuff that they're never going to use.
never going to
And
use. Yeah.
and so it was
Huge.
wasted money that they could have used in plenty of
Yeah.
other places, anywhere else. Um, but to that point, kind of going back to the Gladiator for a second, like you had that thing outfitted pretty well
Yeah.
you said dialed in perfectly for what you guys want. Um, what are you not bringing over that you would like? Not just a body modification or something like that for the
Ooh.
vehicle itself, but, like, you can't bring a bed rack.
Yeah. So there's certain. So I'm done with a few things. Metal shackles, I'll never have in my vehicle ever again. I will never have a metal D ring on my vehicle around it. Never again. Um, it's soft shackles all the way for obvious reasons. They're lighter, they take up less space, and they don't become a high speed traveling obstacle.
A
Um,
projectile at that point, yeah.
yeah, if something happens, and you can stuff them pretty much anywhere. You don't.
Hmm.
So I get it. You don't run them on the front of your bumper all day. I always get a kick out of that.
Right.
You know, so the D rings are gone. We're soft shackles only. Um, a high lift jack. I mean, every Jeep guy. I think every Jeep I've owned, I've had a high lift jack on. Um, and not to say they don't have their place, they really do.
Hmm.
But it's not going to be on this vehicle. It just, I don't use it enough. I've never used it enough. 9 times out of 10, we have a winch. Some people say, a high lift jack is good, get a jack up in a certain situation. We also know they are death machines. Even if you're experienced people like me and yourself, a high lift jack is dangerous. So I'm just
Hmm.
taking that straight out of the equation. Um, Extra fuel cans. So I'm going away from that. I guess I won't be the true overlander unless I got a jerry can. And I'm not ditching on anybody that rides with them. I
Right.
had
Right.
them for a long time. I get it. But over the years of having them on the vehicles, I think I've used them twice and they were for somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's one less thing that I'm going to spend money on. And one less thing that we're going to have kind of floating around. Um, but with the I guess it's not things that I'm not bringing over per se. It's the organization is going to be a lot better,
Right.
um, just because it's a different vehicle. Um, the truck bed on a Gladiator is fantastic because you can just chuck stuff in there, and, and
Hmm.
and you don't have to worry about it being a projectile on the trail. It's just going to bounce around. But now
Yeah.
that everything's going to be inside, one, I don't have to worry about waterproof and everything. Where the truck bed, you had a lot of waterproof bags, especially for like our clothes and stuff,
Hmm.
which is great. But we get to not do that this time around. Um, yeah, it's a lot of the heavy items. I'm trying to think what else I don't think I'd bring over. Um,
I
I'm
mean,
going to
there's a
bring
lot.
over all my first aid kits. I think I have an abundance of first aid kits. Uh, so I'm one of those guys. I'm the kind of guy where like I'll have two first aid kits in the back. I got one in the front. I got a TQ in the front on the visor. I think that's just the military guy in me that just won't fade away.
Hmm.
Maybe because we learn
I
like
have three in mind. I have three in
yeah.
mind. So, like, I mean, I get that.
To
You know.
me, I got to be able to reach a first aid kit from the driver's seat because
Hmm.
that's my worst fear is if I get in an accident and I can't get out of my seat but
Hmm.
I got a serious injury. I want to be able to get to my first aid kit so I can kind of treat myself until someone else or somebody else arrives on scene or whatever. You know.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different things when it comes to like internally organization, what you bring. And it kind of leads me into the next thing of all of the things that you've bought and all of the vehicles that you've had or driven in the overland scene. What do you think the one piece of gear that you bought that was a total kind of game changer for you?
Oh, total game changer. Oh, damn, that's a good one. Oh man, you got me thinking on that one. So you know what that screw it. It's actually easy, and it's not even an overland thing. I guess it might be. Damn Blackstone griddle, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, so we've gone through the Coleman stoves.
Sure.
We got the big scuttle. We got the adventure scuttle. But that Blackstone has made it for us. And the reason why it works so well for us is my wife's a vegetarian and I'm not. So our
Right.
meals are totally different.
Different. Yeah.
But the Blackstone, she can cook everything at one time. It's all done. And that was actually a game changer once we went to the Blackstone for our
Yeah.
trips because the the there's three things to me on a trip. The travel route that I'm experiencing, the place that we're going to stop and camp, and what I'm going to eat.
Hmm.
That's what I start every trip with. Is those are the three things I'm figuring out for each single day. So that Blackstone, it made my wife super happy. So it's like that was our game changer. Was once we figured out that we can, that when they came out with that, I think it's the 22-inch Blackstone or
Yeah, like
17,
the
one of
medium
those two.
sized one.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, but I know you're asking for something actually overland related.
No,
Um,
I mean that's fine because I mean that's in the space, you know. I mean, you mentioned scottles and stuff like that, and I'm
yeah,
like, I never understood the point to that, but I know it's come back in convenience. But you can also get like a Coleman stove that's been around for like ever,
yeah,
and use a plate
yeah,
on it, you know.
yeah.
Anyway, they pack up whatever else. I mean, for me, it was either the fridge or the jackery. Like one of those
Oh,
two things
damn it. Yeah, you got me
what
on that
was
one.
a huge thing because I mean, if it's just me going out, I don't mind carrying a cooler for a couple of days or whatever, like a good cooler. It'll hold ice. Like I don't have to worry about that. But in the middle of July in Moab, like that ice isn't even in a good cooler, that
Yeah,
ice is
no,
gone. And you can't bring good food with you because it'll go bad or you have to eat it in an order of extinction.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
So it's like I'm gonna eat chicken the first day if I bring chicken, you know. It's like
yeah,
that's happening. Um but on the other side, like there's the Jackery, which allows me to do a whole lot more as far as charging devices and things because I've got an older vehicle. I don't have USB ports everywhere, and I don't know. Even without the Jackery, I could plug the fridge into the cigarette lighter in the back of the Jeep or whatever else. So that was a huge one for me.
See,
Um,
that's why I don't like your loaded question, Russ. Because now I want to add all those things to my answer
uh,
because
it's
I,
not a
I'll
loaded question. It's just a
I'll be honest with
question.
you. Like, if any of my friends would tell you, I avoided the fridge thing like
Mhm.
the plague. I was one
Right.
of those people like, no, this is an overland accessory that I don't need.
Yeah.
I got it. I was one of those. I got a Yeti. Like I can hold ice for 17 days. Because
Yeah.
ice is so expensive. But what when we finally got a fridge, um, it that was a true game changer. When you're not when you don't realize how much space in your cooler is used by ice.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
when you do a fridge, all of a sudden, you do that same weekend pack in a fridge, and you're like, I
And
got
you're
so much
reaching
fridge.
down to
Yeah, it's like there's so much space. Actually, it's one of
Yeah.
those things that a stepbrother's like, I got so much room for activities.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
going with the fridge, and a few guys have commented on it, Mando Outdoors, and I think Renegade as well. Um, Diesel heater. I used to
Oh, yeah.
hate on everybody. I was like, oh, you big pussy. You can't get a
Yeah, you
sleeping bag
can't
or
do that.
whatever. And then I went and got a diesel heater, and I was like, oh yeah, I take that all back. I love having a diesel heater. It's just
You
fantastic.
know, I mean, it's funny that you bring that up. Like I was kind of doing the same thing, and then there was the idea of going camping and snowing because my wife is not like yours. She doesn't like. She enjoys going out to see waterfalls and stuff like that. But she has to have a shower, if not two, like every single day. So it's like not an option for a several day trip.
Yeah,
That's going to put her in any kind of great mood by day two. Um, Having said all of that, in order for her to come with me, you get like a diesel heater for camping in 20-degree weather.
yep,
Put that. So I got that. I haven't used it. I did like the burnout, with it,
yeah, yeah. To
making
get it
sure
all
that
smoked
everything was
out.
cool, make sure it's all good, so that's ready. And right now, it's in my garage. And when it gets too cold, I just heat my garage with the damn thing, which is fine. So at least it's multifunctional, right? So
Yeah,
it does its job in multiple locations. So that's fine there. And the other thing was like instant water heater, right? So
yeah.
like the
I haven't
propane
bought one of
heater.
those yet.
I haven't either, but that's what I'm saying. If I want my wife to go out
Yeah, oh,
on the
yeah.
road and go for that, like that is definitely something that has to happen. Not for me, but something that's, oh my gosh, those things are so expensive now. And
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I could get a hotel room every night.
And then you're going to be taking up, it's a lot of space too. You're losing. That's the other thing. When you're
Yeah.
packing these things out, you're losing space. I want to talk about some of the comments. So Renegade, so he made a comment about me freezing urine one night. So this is a good short story. I don't know if you've been to where is it? Damn it, Potts Mountain Jeep Trail.
That is the trail that eludes me. I'm going as
Oh,
soon as pretty much as soon as it opens in a
dude,
couple, not a
that
couple of
is
months, but
that is my favorite trail. And just a quick plug, if anybody wants to know about it, I got like 3 videos on my YouTube channel of Potts Mountain, and it's
do it, watch it,
it's an
do it.
awesome,
Tell me
awesome
when you're
place.
going. Tell me when
So
you're going. I'll go with
yeah,
you.
let me work on the forerunner a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But we went out there. I did a group ride. Had like 15 guys come with us, and the reason why I like Potts Mountain so much is from where I live in Raleigh, it's like a 4 hour trek to get to the trailhead. So
Hmm.
it makes a good weekend trip. We start out Saturday morning, we get to the trailhead at noon. We do the first half of the trail, and you're there by dinner time. And the very top of the mountain is just flat.
Camp at the Meadow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we camp at the top, and then the next day you spend 4 hours getting down, and then you're home by dinner time. So it's a perfect weekend trip.
for
So
sure.
we went there a lot. Plus, I liked it. It's challenging. It's a challenging trail. It makes you think. You got
Hmm.
to really work lines out. Um, but so we're camping at the top. I can't even remember what time of year it was. All I know is everybody else was. This was before I got my own diesel heater. So I was still dogging on everybody that bought a diesel heater. I think Renegade brought out a propane fire pit. So like he had a diesel heater in his tent plus a propane fire pit. Um, I think
It was
everybody else
good.
had, yeah, everybody else had some little buddy heaters or anything like that. I had nothing. And at the top
Hmm.
of that mountain, you're almost 4,000 feet, you're like 3,800 feet in elevation. It got well below freezing that night. Um,
Right.
and I'm in my tent by myself because my wife didn't come this time. I got 3 sleeping bags balled up in me. I'm switching every 30 minutes from putting my head in the sleeping bag to now I can't breathe to pull my head out until I can't feel my face. Well, at like 2 in the morning, I had a piss like you wouldn't believe. And of course, no Gatorade bottle.
Yeah,
4 person
nothing.
rooftop tent, not a single bottle in sight. And it's just windy. So I said, screw it. I unzipped the tent window and just laid sideways and mushed everything up
Oh yeah.
against it
Yep.
and just peed out
I've
the
done
back
that.
of it. And well, I got up the next morning and I run, if you're familiar with a ruck rack, I run a ruck
Yeah.
rack on the back of my rig all the time. And so we got up the next morning, and everybody's like, "Oh man, it's so cold out. Look at all the ice on your ruck rack." And I'm like, "That's not ice. That's my frozen urine all over the back of my ruck rack." I didn't even make
That's
dinner.
good.
I didn't make breakfast or nothing. I was just like,
Uh-uh.
"I'm ready to get on
You're
the trail,
done.
guys. Like, let's go." I mean, everybody's cooking bacon and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not even busting out cooking gear. I was so frozen. All I wanted to do was sit in the truck. But I was
Ma-
determined that night not to get my truck and turn it on because I talked so much trash all day long that I
Right.
that I couldn't. I had to suffer all night long because I was too damn stubborn. The next
Well, see,
next trip, I had a diesel heater. I was done with it.
you're done with frozen like
Yeah,
pisticles on the back
yeah,
of your ruck
pisticles
rack.
all over the
Yeah,
place. I was like,
yeah.
no. And plus, my wife wouldn't do any cold camping because that's the one thing she won't put up with is she doesn't
Yeah,
want to be
yeah.
cold, and I get that. But
I've got to defend my wife here for a second because like against the comments that I made about her not wanting to go camping so much. She went camping 3 times since we met. And all 3 of those times were 23 or 24 degrees or below.
oh,
Like it was
of course she
always
didn't have a
freezing.
good time.
So,
This is miserable.
well, I mean, I was like, drink more, you'll feel it less. It was fine. But having said all of those things, now the diesel heater is a purchase. We have it.
Yeah,
It's there and ready and available. Um, but I I made a video recently about camping options, right? So we have the rooftop tents. A lot of people have like traditional ground tents or whatever else, and then other people bring like pop up trailers and stuff like that. There are pros and cons to each one of those things.
yeah,
And then just the old school. Sleeping like you're homeless in a way, just sleeping inside of
done
your
that.
vehicle,
Yep.
and that's actually my preferred method. When I go out by myself or with my buddies, and it's just me. Like I'm
Yeah.
inside there. And even when it's like 20 degrees, I've got like a -20 bag that's really cool. And I boil some water and I put them in water bottles and I throw those in the bag like 30
Oh,
minutes before I get in. And it's super warm and toasty. And it stays that way for a while because the bag's super insulated, being -20
yeah.
rated. And I get in there and I go right to sleep and I'm fine. And if I have to piss, I have a transmission funnel that I put down the drain plug in my rear seat, and I just piss straight into the ground through the drain plug. Like
That's perfect.
no
That's
joke.
perfect.
I don't have to go anywhere unless I
Oh my
gotta take a
god.
shit.
That's
But it's absolutely
awesome.
like perfect to
Yeah.
do that setup. Rooftop tent can't do that. I've hung my junk out the side window.
Yeah.
I've
It's
done
not
that.
fun.
No, it's not, especially when you
But
think everybody's asleep and they're not.
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
that's even better.
I've gotten bougie with the rooftop tent thing because the one thing we started doing with the RTTs was, we're all used to sleeping bags, so that was, you got a rooftop tent, got a sleeping bag, you drag a sleeping bag
Yeah,
over. Well, now I've got some bougie, like the inside of the rooftop tent has a fitted sheet on it. It's got a regular sheet. I got like a comforter. It's literally like a home bed, and I got these
yeah,
special pillows. Like, I'm super comfortable. So
yeah,
I mean, I've gotten a little soft in that way, but you spend the money on it. That's the one thing I'm going to use and get my money's worth out of all day long
yeah.
is the
I got
RTT.
I got a like a it's a memory foam air mattress self-inflating thing that was like it wasn't cheap, but it was the best like investment for sleep, especially on a platform or whatever. Because I'm not a young chicken anymore. I'm in my
Yeah.
40s, so it's like yeah, this is super comfortable, and I'm glad that I did this. And making other kind of modifications to the Jeep, I don't know if they're gonna come or not. But when I go out by myself, like now, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about how am I gonna sleep because if I don't sleep well, I'm gonna be an asshole the
Oh
next
yeah.
day,
Oh
and
yeah. It
I
ruins a
don't want to
trip.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
ruins a trip.
especially if you get into really bad situations or stuff, it's like just listen to me, just do this or whatever. Uh,
Yeah.
it gets kind of crazy sometimes. But we've all been guilty of doing those things. But I don't know, man. There was one other thing that I definitely wanted to talk about, and oh yeah, tell me about any kind of you mentioned Ruck Rack. I know you wanted to mention them or whatever else. What other companies are you guys working with, or have you worked with that you want to mention? Because I want to give you this platform to tell people about what you have going on, um, and what's upcoming, who you're working with, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So on this one, I'm like I said, we're keeping it simple and shallow. When we first started building the Gladiator, I was reaching out to all kinds of people. We
Hmm.
worked with, like I mentioned, the waterproof bags. We don't use them anymore. I mean, we still use them, but I mean, there's a
Yeah,
company called 3V Gear, and their waterproof bags were crazy. They work so well, and they're like $15 a piece for a waterproof bag,
sure.
which is just like.
Yeah.
But I mean, our main focus has always been Ruck Rack. I've known him, God, for years now. When he was just in this tiny little shop and just really getting it going. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm going to stand behind him in that Ruck Rack product for as long as I'm alive, just because it's really good. It's just innovative. I mean, I'm sure everybody in our local area in North Carolina, and it's just spreading, knows about a
Hmm.
Ruck Rack. Um,
Sure.
it just really does everything you want. Like we talked about the diesel heater. That Ruck Rack is what carries my diesel heater every single winter on every single trip
Yeah.
because it's got diesel on it. So now I don't have to put it inside and worry about it spilling. It's outside. I don't
It's
have to worry
outside.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're sticking. We're not reaching out this year. I've had two companies already reach out to us
Hmm.
when they saw the change to the Toyota, which I was, I was flattered. I was like, oh, I was like,
Oh, okay.
really? I was like, oh, so, um, but that's most likely going to be Bartech seat covers. I've run them on two different Jeeps, and the other company, GPCA, the
Hmm.
company for those grab handles.
Yeah.
That I have a good relationship with them, so we're going to start looking at some stuff in the Forerunners. I think they've been using one of my videos of my dumb face talking about their grab as an ad ever since like Thanksgiving, and it's still showing up on my Facebook and Instagram feeds. And I'm thinking, these
Oh
women,
my goodness.
yeah, like take my face off. Like this is not a good video. Like get this out of here. It's flattering, but it's like, geez. So we're talking with them again. But I think honestly, talking about Ruck Rack, and we got a little photo shoot with them this weekend
Oh,
um,
nice.
to have it on the back of a 4Runner because Ruck Rack, everybody is dominated on the Jeep market. They work great on Jeeps. He's spent a lot of time focusing getting them on Broncos. Works the same
Hmm.
way. But the Toyota market's a big market open for him. So, like I said,
Sure.
he's been a friend for a long time. So I'll support him
Hmm.
all day long. Yeah, he brought me out to SEMA last year, which was
Yeah, yeah.
SEMA is nuts. So
I was supposed to go a couple of years ago and I did not go. Things happened here that prevented me from going, but yeah, it looks like it would have just blown my mind and I would have just sat down.
it was exhausting and a great experience at the same time. Jason has been nice enough to invite me to go this year as well.
Cool.
And I think the plan and don't hold me to this, but we've talked about he wants to bring vehicles this time.
Right.
So you might see that 4Runner out at SEMA this year, which will be pretty cool. I think that'll be pretty awesome to have a vehicle at SEMA, even though it's not even for my company or anything. But hey,
It's
I got
still
a vehicle at
cool.
SEMA. That's going to be cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but other than that, I think this year I want to get back to my basics of hanging out with folks, going on 2 and 3 day. Like I like the 2 and 3 day short trips. You get a long weekend.
Hmm.
If you get a holiday on a Monday, you take that Friday off and you do a
Yep.
trip that weekend. So I'm just looking forward to doing a bunch of little trips like that with friends and people I know. I got to get out with you again. Um, I got to get out
Yeah,
with
let's go to
Phil.
Potts.
I want to get out with old man.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know, so I've been building a lot of different routes in my systems, and so I got quite a few that I want to go explore, and I like going, picking, 3 to 5 people because that's a decent sized group to go out with, and then
Yeah.
so I just want to spend the year doing that and just not worrying about all the social media and all that stuff. I mean, what people don't know is like most of the social media stuff is on my end is auto posted. I'm not on
Yeah.
social media a lot. Um,
Yeah.
because like I said, I got family and job and everything. So usually when I get home at the end of the day, I might spend an hour on it and then I try to put my
Hmm.
phone down so I'm with my wife and kids. But
Yeah.
it's like we all know that like Instagram is an illusion. It's this
Oh,
great
for
illusion.
sure. Yeah, all
So
social media is,
yeah,
including YouTube. And that's why I think that YouTube is making a big shift towards, kind of the genuine
yeah,
conversations like this versus the high produced whatever else.
yeah,
I produced this like. I want to congratulate you. I know that it wasn't that long ago. You hit 1,000 subscribers on the
yeah,
channel. You've got like, you did that in a pretty short period of time, and you've utilized what not a lot of people are doing, which is the shorts and the reels. So you
yeah,
grew both at the same time, the same way, and using probably things like Hootsuite or whatever to do your auto posting, so you're not spending so much
yeah,
time um, invested in it, which is fantastic. That is a niche that not a lot of people thought about. So it was a market gap, as it
mhm,
were, and it really brought your channel to life. But you do that in such a way that like a lot of them are really hilarious. And like we were messaging earlier, and I'm like that the grease thing like stuck out in my mind like from years ago.
yeah. That was
It's
a
like
long time
years
ago.
ago, but
Yeah,
it was hilarious, right? And then the last event, you guys were talking about overland squatters and stuff like that. So if you happen to be watching this, like as a viewer later on, when this is not particularly live, go make sure you check out FMC Overland on his YouTube channel, and as well as Instagram.
yeah,
And I think you're in a whole bunch of other places too. So
yeah. So
tell
it's
the people where they can find you.
I kept it simple. It's across the board. It's FMC Overland across the board. It's uh, Facebook. We got a Facebook group, Instagram, YouTube channel. And if you're really bored, you can go to fmcoverland.com, which has links to all that. But then you can get cool stuff like our hats, or
Sure.
like we got dumb shirts like this, you know?
Oh
So,
yeah.
because I owned an XJ at one time, so I get
Yeah,
to
yeah.
wear this
So
shirt,
you get to wear it. You're
Yeah.
qualified to wear it. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the shorts and the reels actually came out of the fact that I tried the YouTube thing a long time ago.
Right.
I'm not good at making long content videos.
Yeah,
I, I
like the
just
long format.
I I don't have it. Like I watch your videos and I'm like, I know how to do that. And then when it comes to it, I fuck it all up. I just can't. I don't have it in me, but
Well,
I do have a 15 to 60-second window that I'm good at. So the reels and shorts work,
and see,
you
that's
know?
the one thing that like I know how to do that, but I never do it. I enjoy that moment. I just
Yeah.
laugh,
That's the
and
other
and
thing.
that and I'm like, damn it, like this isn't part of like the plan or whatever. And so I just enjoy that moment, and a lot of times I just forget to do it. But I also don't want to be walking around my phone all the time. It's like
That's the other thing. I can't be one of those guys that runs up and sets his camera way up there and then runs back. And then I've done it a handful of times, but like you said, I don't know about you, but a majority of the time I'm leading a group of 3 to 5
right,
people. So
yeah,
I feel this responsibility to make sure that they're enjoying themselves. And me
sure,
running around trying to get footage doesn't help with that. So most of my footage usually comes from once we're camped
oh
and
yeah.
I'm talking, or I'm talking while I'm driving. But I'm the same way. I mean, there's one trip we did, and we got home, and all only photos I had from it was I had like 2 or 3 photos of the Jeep and like 3 selfies out of like a 4-day trip. We didn't have any videos of any of the wheeling. I just we got too caught up in the moment, which is
Yeah.
good because that's what we should be doing. But on the flip side, I really like sharing those kinds of experiences with people, hoping that they'll go, "Oh, I can go do that, and I can go here and go do that." It doesn't look as scary as I imagine it would be. You know?
It really, yeah, it really depends on what your purpose is, and kind of going back to what you said a little bit ago is like you try, maybe you're on social media for like an hour when you get home from
Yeah,
work, and you try to put your phone down and you're spending time with your wife and kids, and that is your purpose, right? You were there. In the moment with them. And so if you're on the trail with a group of friends or group of people, you're also in the moment with them and as part of your persona. And when it comes to like finding purpose in the things that you do and the reasons why people do certain things, some people, put shit on YouTube to get the watch time, to get the money and all this other kind of
yeah,
stuff, and not even realizing how much work goes into it. Even just remembering to make that little short, do a little quick edit, pre-plan it, whatever, not
yeah.
pre-plan it,
Keeping up
but
with that
pre-upload
algorithm.
it. Yeah, and doing all that kind of stuff, you can get really nerdy with it, or not. Some people are very successful very quickly. Some people aren't. Um, but to do long format, it's like let's think of a story that we can tell
Yeah,
from the footage that we got. And I mean, Phil will attest, old man. Like we went out the other day and like had a
yeah. I
great
watched
time.
that one.
Had an
Yeah,
opportunity. I had an opportunity to. My wife came with us to go off-roading in her car, and we brought the dog. And like I had an opportunity to tell a story for YouTube, and I'm like, I left my camera at home. Like I'm just like,
You're like,
let's
no,
go have fun. This is for us. This
yeah,
is for us. Um, but having said all that, getting back to the purpose of going and going out and enjoying each other and the time and nature and camping and stuff like that. That's where most of the fun memories are anyway,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
So
don't need photos of it. I remember it, but it just like you said, when you're trying to be on these platforms, it's like, dang it, I missed it. You know?
And I'm honestly very glad if we were rewound to like 1985, right?
Oh,
This shit didn't happen, right?
yeah, no,
Like people went out and they told stories.
yep,
They told
yep.
the stories got better and better as time went on.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
there's no photo evidence that this shit happened.
But
But
that's also a good thing because if there
it's
was
super good.
that kind of stuff when I was a teenager, oh, yeah, I'd be in a lot of trouble, you know?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, and
mm-mm.
GPS and all of that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
oof,
Yeah, I'm
nope.
glad that wasn't around when I was a kid, like for sure. Parents would be like, "Well, I know you're not where you said that you were going to be,"
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, I know.
situation like
We got our son on Live 360. My wife can track him like anywhere he goes. Um,
that.
Granite State asked, when is the FMC games coming back?
Oh, please
Um,
bring that back. Yeah,
yeah,
no joke.
so we did that. I think we did 3 years of FMC games. It was pretty fun. It was really enjoyable. Um, we had a good piece of property to do it at in West Virginia, which is like my favorite place to go.
Mhm.
I love everything about West Virginia. I think that those rumors of everybody in West Virginia being kind of like those people from The Hills Have Eyes kind of movie is
Right, right.
something that West Virginian people made up to keep people out, because every place we've been in West Virginia, people are super nice and super friendly, and the
Mhm.
view is fantastic. We have been thinking about bringing the FMC games back. We're just looking to do it at a different place. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, since the transition last year from the Gladiator now into the Forerunner, we just haven't had time
Yeah.
to kind of plan that out. But it's something I definitely want to bring back because everybody had a blast every single year, and
Oh
we kept it
yeah,
small. You it was only 15 rigs. That's it. Either you're in or
yeah,
you're out. So I
yeah.
think that made it more enjoyable because everybody got like organic conversations with each other. It wasn't
Oh
200 people, you know?
yeah, but I mean, it was just I watched a video of it. This is gosh, down south of off-road down
Yeah,
Dorsey.
yeah.
Jeremy
Jeremy
and
and
Kim
Kim. Yeah,
did their video of it, and oh my god, like it just from their video alone. First off, if you guys aren't subscribed to their channel, make sure to go
yeah.
check them out and do that. But when I watched that video for the first time, I'm immediately like texting my dudes in Georgia, and I'm like, who's doing this with me? Like, who's
Yeah.
doing this with me? We got to do this or whatever. And
Yeah,
it
we've
never panned
done
out.
stuff like the water challenge and stuff like that. I mean, if you guys don't know, it's like we we set up a very difficult, very jarring obstacle course. Um, very aggressive, I guess you could say. And your passenger had held 2 cups, solo cups full of water. And so it was based on 2 things. You had a time and you had how much water you had left back, and that's how you
Yeah.
got scored. And it was fun. We had goofy stuff to give away, like gift certificates and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, they were great events. I think when Jeremy and Kim came out, um, it I was absolutely devastated at first because we got tons of rain, and I thought, oh
Yeah.
man, this is going to suck. And it turned out to be just the opposite.
Just a
Again,
lot of
I got
fun.
yeah, I got zero footage. Jeremy and Kim got all of it. So I was like, well, at least Jeremy and Kim were there enjoying themselves. And it
Yeah.
just everybody had a great time. So I do want to bring that back because I like the intimacy of it.
Yeah.
Um, because the campfire conversations, everybody left there knowing everybody else, you know. So I'd like to bring it back too. It'll be a good time.
I think
I
it
just
would
got
be
to figure it
rad.
out.
I mean, that's just personally for me, it would be rad because I think it'd be a lot of fun to do, for sure. And then like events like John Eller puts stuff together,
Yep.
like the 24 hours events and stuff like that. Like those are cool. It brings camaraderie and stuff, but it's not like, I mean, that is competition.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
like to have fun, but like it's not like, I guess the offer or the offer games kind of reminded me of like field day in school
Yeah. 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 You're
with
trying your
four-wheel
hardest, but it
drive.
doesn't matter who
It
finishes.
just
Just
we just have a great
yeah.
time and just be a wonderful day for sure. Uh, but yeah, just so FMC Overland on everything. Are you guys on TikTok also? Can't
Now
remember.
we tried TikTok, and then I did what do they call it? Like a mashup,
Oh yeah.
and it was not appropriate. So
Oh,
uh,
so
oh no, my algorithm went way through the
oh
roof,
sure.
and I got like I think 5 million views on one
Holy
video in two
crap!
days. Yeah, it went
Good
bonkers.
lord.
But then my son came up to me and he was like, "Dad, I saw that," and I'm like, "Oh yeah," and he goes, "You can't be doing that kind of stuff." So he was like, "It's not." It might have been something that I think personally, but it wasn't something good enough for like the FMC kind of brandish
Brand to
thing,
to to
So
do that. Yeah.
it's hard enough to keep up with Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So I killed the TikTok and just said, we'll just I like Instagram because it's easy,
Hmm.
and I like uploading stuff on YouTube because the format's nice and it's easy to keep track of people. You
Uh,
know.
for for sure, man. And speaking of keeping track, what your next big thing? Obviously, you're going to be working on the Forerunner and getting that set up and squared away. Do you have a trip that you know that you're going to be taking here real soon?
So we don't got nothing real soon. Well, real soon we actually got one in February. That's
Hmm.
actually open to all kinds of people. We're calling it an FMC movie night.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be up on top of Meadow Knob, which is at Flagpole Knob, if you're
Hmm.
familiar. But we're going to bring a projector screen and projector, and you're going to have a good time getting up there, which is it's easy riding, but it's a huge open space Meadow Knob. And then we're going to set up a fire and watch a few movies at nighttime. We were going to do
That's
it in January, but
right.
it's had sub-zero temperatures and ice. So I said,
And we
no,
don't need any pisticles anymore.
yeah,
So
yeah, no more
for,
pisticles.
for
So we'll
anybody.
we'll be doing that in February. I think it's February 24th. The
Cool.
the map is actually on our website under Gaia Tracks,
Yep.
and it's open to anybody that wants to come. We're trying to get back to that camaraderie
Yeah.
part of all this and getting people together and just having conversations. Um, but personally, I have a trip planned for Canada that I've been talking about since last year. Um, it's we want to do 11 days in Canada.
Hmm.
I got it all routed out. I mean, we'll kill New Brunswick and all of Nova Scotia,
Oh
and
wow.
it's a bucket list item for us. But I've been having passport issues, so we're that's on
Yeah.
hold until uh,
Yeah, that gets resolved.
yeah, until the United States wants to give a decorated honorable veteran his passport again. So go figure, you know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of kind of back and forth on all that kind of stuff, and we won't get into that. But
Yeah.
I do very much so hope that that gets worked out really soon, so that you do get to go up there. Um, I
If
don't.
not, we're just going to go to West Virginia again. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
that's what we're going to do. Is there's I love going to West Virginia for 4 or 5 days.
yeah.
So we'll probably do plenty of the West Virginia trips. I'll be out in Kentucky in May with the
Cool.
folks from Mine Overland. So
Yeah.
love those guys. So uh, I I'll get to wheel some stuff out in Kentucky that I've never done before, and we're going to do it in the Forerunner. So we'll see how it
Well,
works out. You
I
know.
will tell you this: Kentucky changed the whole direction for me. Like,
Yep.
I went to Black Mountain and had 37s at the time. Went up 4 trails, and I said I need 40s, and it made me realize that the stuff that was around wasn't I, as much as I thought I liked it. I didn't love it, and I found that in Kentucky of all kinds of weird things. So I was singing "Blue Moon of Kentucky" on the way home. Like that's kind of like how it went nuts in my brain. But I had a fantastic time at that park, and I know that it was an event or whatever. But man, I had a great time. That just totally shifted. So I really hope you have a good time there. I know that I'm gonna be hitting up a lot of Tennessee trails and a lot of like North Carolina
Yep.
trails. They kind of go up. There's that whole area that I haven't explored, and then I definitely want to do the Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, like
Yeah.
all the little bits and pieces of that. Um, I've been meaning to, and I just haven't. Potts
I
is on the
think
list.
I want to I want to remap the Smoky Mountain 1000 if that makes any sense because every
It does
map
make
that
sense.
you
Yeah.
see for the Smoky Mountain 1000 it's it's all done in a fashion of staying at like an Airbnb or a hotel because it was started by
Hmm.
adventure rider guys on motorcycles.
Hmm.
Um, so I've found other people sharing little stuff, but then again, I love sharing stuff. So I think we're going to try to piece that together and then actually share it as, hey, this is an overland route where you're camping and dispersed camping. And so it'll give a different route of this is your day one, this is your day two kind of faction. So that
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
that's
That's in the plan for this year.
That's a
You know,
huge project, man, and, yeah, if I can help out with that in any way, let me know. I'll run a couple of sections with you guys
yeah,
if you want.
always need company, man.
That would be a lot of fun. Uh, but, oh, man, all I wanna do is just get in the Jeep and go camping right now, but
I know, it's killing
it's
me.
all raining.
Yeah,
It's raining, and I was like, I was supposed to go, and now I can't, so I'm getting a tattoo tomorrow instead.
Oh, there
So,
you go. You know,
so that's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
feed another vice. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Mine's going now for sure. But ooh, hang on.
oh, there we go.
There's that. All right, cool. Yeah. I can't talk of a sudden. There we go.
We've
Uh
been talking for like 72 minutes. This is crazy.
I
You
know,
know,
it's nuts. It's nuts. Everybody's bored. Cool. Anyway, Travis, thank you so much for coming on this. And if you guys have been watching this and you're watching it later on, make sure to subscribe to FMC Overland. They are everywhere, apparently, except for TikTok in Canada currently. Um, so that was a dig. Sorry.
oh, that's messed up.
Well, I mean, yeah, sorry.
I get it. I
It
get it. I
was.
appreciate it.
It's super fucking messed up. Um, I'm gonna edit this part out of the video. So there you go.
Shit.
And tag. Anyway,
Yeah.
you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching, all that kind of good stuff. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure to do so. And if you don't know this, all of the proceeds from this channel that are earned from full monetization are going to Mind Overland to help our U.S. veterans. So I'm going to be doing that donation on September 11th of this year. So every bit of money that this channel makes is going straight to them so that they can make a difference in the lives of veterans.
It's
And
outstanding.
so that's why it was a dig, and I was just joking. So, but all of this is good. You guys have a great night, and I will talk to you later. Hope you're living life adventurously, and until next time, I will see you on the trail. See ya.
Thanks, Russ. I
Okay.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, buddy. I'll see you later. Once I can figure out how to stop this thing.
That's what happens. Old people